Two names, James Ohlen and Chad Robertson. These are the names of two industry video game veterans that got together and made a studio called Archetype Entertainment. If you're not familiar with James's work, you probably played games like Baldur's Gate, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Dragon Age Origins, and of course, Mass Effect, to name a few. Chad Robertson, another BioWare vet and former studio technical director of KOTOR, another big name. And look, just think of it. Naming off just these few games, these icons, some of the best RPG experiences ever made, symbols of what made Western role-playing games so great, should be more than enough to get you excited for this new upcoming game that shares heavy similarities with Mass Effect. It's being published by Wizards of the Coast, but here's the thing, they gave Archetype the option to make any game they want to make without intervening in any type of way, so no company oversight. That's why this game has the potential to be either the greatest thing ever, but at the same time, not gonna lie, it could fall flat on its face. But this is what gaming used to be like. Nowadays, big publishers, they don't want to take risks anymore. They have such an enormous player base that they feel their only option is to play it safe, so I wouldn't want it any other way. This could either be the equivalent of Glenn Schofield and the disappointment that Callisto Protocol was, or this could be like Hironobu Sakaguchi, Yuji Horii, and Akira Toriyama getting together. Now, you probably hear that and think it's blasphemy. You probably think I'm insane. But here's where the third person comes into the picture. Peter F. Hamilton, probably one of the best writers to ever grace science fiction. He got together with Archetype Entertainment with his book Exodus, the Archimedes Engine. After reading this book, I'm here to tell you that this right here, man, this could be the damn dream team. So what even is Exodus? Okay, so 40,000 years ago, humanity fled a dying Earth. They traveled the stars in these massive ark ships. Think of the Ark Fleet from Mass Effect and how the Quarians went on these pilgrimages. These pioneers in Exodus, they spread out across the galaxy to try to find hospitable planets like Earth. After traveling thousands of light years, they arrive in the Centauri cluster and they find a bunch of potential planets. And like I said, this universe spans thousands of years, tens of thousands, which is funny. It kind of reminds me of Warhammer 40k. But anyways, in the story, when the humans arrive in the Centauri, they find these advanced beings known as the Celestials, which in every other space sci-fi, aliens, they're not humans, right? But in Exodus, it's about time dilation. So these crazy alien creatures in the book, they're actually humans that evolved over thousands of years. They used to be the original settlers. They even talk about their ancestors from Earth. Thing is, these Celestials, they're so technologically advanced, they see normal humans as primitive beings. They either eradicate them or force them into slavery. And there's just so many moving pieces in this book between the believability of the advanced tech, the political dominions with the different races, cultures, and stuff. It's the intricate world building. It's cool stuff. And don't worry about spoilers, because the book, while it's set in the same universe as this game, they tell entirely different stories. This is about how the former developers at BioWare came together and are trying to make an experience as hard-hitting as Mass Effect. The classic, story-driven sci-fi RPG experience where your choices actually matter. And they're trying to take that experience and put it on steroids. Consequences. One of the key pillars of any good role-playing game. This is the focus, and it does it in a really clever way. Exodus introduces a new sci-fi world that forces players to face the consequences of their choices over time. To an original sci-fi universe, a world created with an incredible level of detail and collaboration with award-winning authors. The gameplay setting and the story was created. It was built around the impact of time dilation. This concept is something James Ohlen has been fascinated with since he was 12 years old. Time dilation is used as the catalyst for impacting the choices you make in the game that sets in motion the events affecting your relationships with your loved ones and the entire civilization for generations. This is what he said during the reveal of this game. You see, the closer you travel to the speed of light, the slower time moves. So in space, if you're traveling close to the speed of light, one day for you could be 10 years for the people back home. And this is how Exodus is going to tell its narrative. Because you're going to go out on these missions, and every time you come back, things could be completely different. Think of going on an expedition to dig up some ancient alien tech, and as soon as you return home, your friends, they could be elderly, some of them could be gone. Your children, they could be adults now and have their own children. It's really something I don't think has been explored by video games. And this doesn't just change the age of the characters in game, it shapes the entire world. Because that advanced tech you brought home from that expedition, the next time you come back, you could see that your planet has become a massive industrial complex or something like that. If you look up the Exodus channel on YouTube, there's so much stuff you can comb through. Not only are there gameplay trailers, but these really cool narrative introductions to the world and some of the creatures. Like, I really love the Awakened Bear. There's tons of Q&As, interviews. They even have their own tabletop game called Star Heist, and they host these multiple hour-long D&D sessions. You can really tell that the people behind this game have role-playing running through their veins. And this is the type of stuff that we're missing from a lot of the gaming industry. Gamers are getting together and making games. Games made by gamers for gamers. This is what the entire formula was 2 decades ago, before the AAA industry morphed into this gray corporate blob. This is something we've been asking for from AAA, and that's why I'm so excited for Exodus. Not just because I'm a huge Mass Effect fan, but because of what it represents for video games as a whole. Because let's just face it, it's not about art anymore. It hasn't been for nearly a decade. As we slowly got introduced to DLCs, microtransactions, paid cosmetics, battle passes, loot boxes, early access rewards, the live service hamster wheel, the endless grind of repetitive gameplay, I'm happy that this game is going to have a linear story. That it's not going to be some open world space exploration game. I'm getting so tired of these watered down piles of gameplay mechanics that give me no sense of progression whatsoever. These games, they're just a mile wide but only an inch deep. I haven't been excited for a AAA game in a very, very long while. But every now and then, we get a Witcher 3. We get an Elden Ring. We get a game that's talked about, for 10, 20 years after its initial release. And that's the type of game I'm hoping Exodus will be. Not some game like Dragon Age the Veilguard made by people pretending to be the game studio you grew up with, taking the corpse of your favorite franchise, tying it up on puppet strings and dangling it in front of an audience who's never played a Dragon Age game. The old BioWare, come on, listen, it is dead. In a lot of ways, it kind of reminds me of the ship of Theseus, that paradox. If you replace every single piece with a new one, replace every single dev that worked on those games, is it still the same BioWare? And the answer is no. You shouldn't be excited for a new Mass Effect game. You should be excited for a game made by the people who made your favorite game. Or at least people who grew up playing the same games as you. Not some group of activists trying to lecture you on sensitivity and modern day-isms. I'm rooting for Exodus. I really hope it turns out great. And if you get the chance, you should really check out Exodus, the Archimedes Machine, because it's one of the best science fiction books I have ever read. If you like deep, complex space operas, this book is one of a kind. And there's more books to come, which will keep you busy and caught up with the lore before this game drops. Anyways, I just wanted to gush over why I'm excited for Exodus. I'll catch you in the next video. Later.